In this second last substantive lesson, I would like to talk about something I'm asked about frequently at jam sessions. Fellow musicians see and hear me comping on blues tunes, they like what I do, and they think that I'm using some advanced jazz harmony technique, and I'm not. I'm using the everyday chords we've seen all along this course, and introducing relatively minor modifications to the standard 12-bar blues structure, which makes it sound much richer. They also make improvising on the blues much more fun. And the interesting thing is that these modifications in the blues structure, which are the norm when you play a jazz blues, go perfectly well with a lot of mainstream blues styles as well. The rest of the band keeps on playing a normal 12-bar or fast change blues shuffle, for instance, and you play the structure we are about to see and it sounds glorious. So let's take a 12-bar blues in A, and this is the structure that any bluesman would play. To begin with, without making any change to this structure, you can already sound jazzier, even in a traditional blues context, by applying the embellishment techniques we've discussed several times. Number one, targeting. That is moving your chords around by semitones to give a sense of movement. Remember that targeting, strictly speaking, refers to the technique of approaching a chord during a change from a semitone above or a semitone below. Here, however, I suggest you move around more freely around the blues chord, around the structure, and you get into what I would call a sort of a blues dance. And then strumming, number two, strumming or plucking different set of strings to make chords ring differently. So let's combine these two techniques and give the usual 12-bar blues some spice. Nothing special, nothing exotic, just targeting and making different sets of strings ring, and that adds spice, as I have just said. Now, the first small variation in the normal structure that I suggest is that you play a half-diminished chord in measure 6. Normally, measures 5 and 6 have the same chord, and here I suggest you play the 4 chords of the blues in measure 5, as you would normally do. In our case, since we're in A, that's a D7, and then move up a semitone and play an E-flat half diminished in measure 6. Here is how it goes. See, and I stop there, you go. Then 5 chords, 4 chords. That's the first small variation in the blues structure. And then if you want to introduce more substantial variations, you have to look at the second part of the blues structure. In particular, starting with measure 8, you get into a 6-2-5-1 progression, like the one we've been playing on the previous lessons. And since we're in the key of A, generally speaking, the 6th degree is F sharp minor, then you get into a normal 2-5, B minor to E7, and you end in A. A normal 6-2-5-1 would have an A major, and here, since we're in blues, you have an A7, which is still a major chord with the dominant 7, right? So, sorry, don't get that wrong, it's a 7 chord. Minor, minor, dominant 7, dominant 7. And then the last two measures of the structure, you do that at double speed. You do exactly the same thing at double speed. So let's play the full 12 bar with these particular variations. Diminished. 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. There you go. This is a very classic alteration of the blues structure, and it's the one that you will hear probably the most. However, over the years I've started using again a slight modification of that. Instead of playing a minor for the F sharp, which is our 6, 2, 5, 1, I play a dominant 7. And instead of the minor, I play another dominant 7. So the structure would go, when you come to measure 8, it's all 7, all dominant 7s, and I will play the full 12 bar for you. There you go. Finally, another tiny variation that really brings out the full jazz sound is on the 6th chord. Instead, we started with a minor 7, then I suggested you play a 7, a dominant 7. Now use the Jimi Hendrix chord. F sharp 7, sharp 9, okay? This would be your normal 7-9, raise the 9, and it really sounds jazzy. Listen. Are diminished. This is what makes heads turn at the jam session. Finally, you may want to substitute the E7 in this progression with an A flat, right? Let's play it. It's easier played than explained. Please remember that all these variations on the basic 12-bar blues structure are not mutually exclusive. You may use all of them at different points in the song to add spice and originality to your comping.